Welcome back to our testing grounds, and we're coming out swinging. We got ourselves a big one, the host.
A big one indeed. There is only one way this big bastard appears, and that is whenever an infected villager manages to specifically kill 5 skeletons. Once that happens, the host will begin preparing to rise itself up from the ground, just as you can see right here.
Don't forget to mention the fact that it will infinitely spawn raptors. Sure, only 5 at a time, but there will be 5 as long as this thing lives. Now, this creature also does have a melee attack, but if it hits you with it, you're probably gonna die anyways.
As you can see here, Subject 892 is doing his absolute best to avoid all of the host's attacks, but not to any significant effect.
892, what happened to 891?
No.
What do you mean you don't know?
I mean it quite literally. We have no idea where he went. He just was not here.
Okay, that's odd. Remind me to check the security footage sometime. Anyways, the host here has a couple of other attacks, such as the wave. Now what the wave does is swim through the ground chasing you and does massive amounts of damage upon contact. You will typically die within a few seconds if you make prolonged contact with it. Soon, 892 will join the hive mind and we won't have to clean up any mess because of it.
And strangely, the wave is known to be its own entity with its own health. However, it is unclear whether or not you can actually kill it. We have tried with varying degrees of success ourselves. We have absolutely no idea how we got an entity classification for the wave. It's very strange, isn't it?
Indeed. You can also burn these things. Bird is an evolved form of the host, and the host will turn into one of these things upon killing enough enemies, as you can see here. Its abilities involve the wave and spawning manglers instead of just raptors. On top of that, to make everything worse, it has a projectile attack that will inflict status effects.
Despite this lovely arsenal at its disposal, Subject 893 manages to dodge most of these projectiles and handle the manglers crawling over to him. And it looks like he's gonna make a move here soon for the herd. And he is booking it. He is absolutely hauling ass.
Yep, it looks like he's managing to avoid each of the death waves this thing's throwing out. And just running circles around it, just beating it completely.
He might actually survive, wow.
Yeah. I've never seen someone do this good against... Oh, and he takes the beast down. Guess he got lucky.
Alright, now we got the heave to talk about. This thing does not appear anywhere in the world naturally, so we had to obtain these creatures by unknown means similar to the crux in the previous instance of tests. Actually, how do we get these things again?
I don't know, man. My dealer won't tell me. The heat looks scary, but it's absolutely pitiful. It hardly does any damage. It seems to be more of a shock troop than any actual means of infection. 893 here has absolutely no problems dealing with hordes of these things.
Yeah, similar to the host and herd, these things appear to also be a sort of hive mind. However, the only thing it really boasts is a large amount of biomass. No special abilities, no significant damage, and only a moderate amount of health for its size.
Okay, now this creature, despite being 90% torso, is a massive threat in the early game. It tends to instantly kill our subjects, such as 893 here.
Yes, the primitive long arms boast high damage and the ability to use the wave. Massive pain in the ass, to be sure, but it can also take on the viral and bleeding forms. We'll brush up on those types of forms later.
Yeah, but let's take a closer look at the enemy itself first. It boasts the ability to inflict exhaustion, an ability that locks your hotbar and inventory completely, makes you impossible to access different gear while you're fighting the long arms. Next up is the primitive yellow eye. This McNugget looking ass creature flies around, periodically planting itself into the ground like a garden gnome, destroying blocks and spitting acid, which can instantly kill most things in the game.
Now the question here is, How does such a tiny thing spit so much acid? Only God knows.
Alright, what comes on 4 legs and has a charge attack that can instantly kill? And potentially spawn as a viral and bleeding form? The Reer, of course.
Yeah, this thing is quite formidable to go up against, and you will get absolutely rocked if you come unprepared. Especially without a good ranged weapon from another mod.
He means a gun! You need a gun! An elephant gun specifically to take down these abominations! Why are
I think it's Invisibitch time. This is the primitive Mandator, effectively the stealth unit of the parasites.
Yeah, these things are almost completely impossible to spot under most conditions. And they do a fair amount of damage to you. Almost reminds me of the sword elites from Halo, except far more common, far harder to spot, and far more annoying! How are you supposed to see that? That just looks like a blank corner!
Literally.
Alright, the primitive bolster. If this living coat rack ever kills you, you just need to quit the game immediately. This mod is not for you. All these guys do is crawl around very slowly and buff other parasites in the area. The amount of damage they do is minuscule compared to most things.
Mind you, those buffs do add up, so their priority target in some cases. A very easy one, sure, but still.
Alright, these are one of the nicer parasites out there. They give you what your father never gave you as a child. That's right, a nice warm hug. They even do what your uncle did to you. Shoot his sticky white stuff at you as you try to run away.
How quaint. Anyways, these things are fairly easy to deal with as long as you don't let them get too many hits on you. Other than that, there's nothing else really noteworthy to say about these things.
Alright, next up is the primitive Devourer. This right here is an extremely fast water-based parasite that'll outrun you even on a boat. They do a fairly decent amount of damage and have a good chunk of health.
It's also worth noting that while they can fight on land, they are far easier to deal with when doing so. They will almost never end up on land.
Alright, the primitive summoner may be a caster, but it's more of a battle caster. They spawn a variety of different lesser life forms, all the while hitting you with its fair amount of damage.
It is also fairly tanky and can spawn as a potential viral or bleeding form just like others we have gone over before. As you can see, our subjects are not having the greatest of times against these foes.
And again, we advise you not to bash yourself against the enemy like our special boys here. We highly recommend something like a gun or better weapons. That is, of course, unless you like getting smashed to pieces in a parasite orgy.
Over and over. Okay, quick intermission here before we continue. You see, there are quite a few flavors, stages, and varieties of parasites. This is a big one, the adapted variety of parasites.
Yes, most of these abominations, namely the primitive forms, have a higher state than what they currently are. These adapted forms will either spawn naturally from beacons, or will develop from previous stages of parasites over time.
Indeed, the nightmares will grow until morale improves. This is no exception. These bad boys we're about to cover are a prelude to some of the toughest threats you'll face within the hellscape of the parasite world. If the Enderman was cancer, the adapted long arms is AIDS.
Boasting a stupid amount of health and even stupider amount of damage compared to its primitive form, the adapted long arms excels at completely destroying you with a variety of heavy attacks.
Also worth noting, these things are supposed to do even more damage the more damage it takes. Although according to our test results, this does not seem to be the case. However, when such things come to fruition, you better be able to kill it fast before it claps back.
To top all this off, the adapted version has an ability to climb and leap. This greatly enhances the mobility over the primitive form.
By quite a lot. An exceptional amount.
How are you supposed to even fight these things?
I have no idea.
I know there's higher forms out there, but we're already nearing impossible difficulty.
Yeah, this is icing on the cake.
Okay, the adapted summoner went from the average summoner in RuneScape to fucking Gandalf himself. They can tear apart just about everything they feel like with their bare hands and summon a large variety of strong parasites to fight alongside them.
Do you believe in magic? You will. Trust me, you will if you fight this thing.
Alright, there we go. We got ourselves a giant fucked up looking TRex. This thing does an absolutely stupid amount of damage and can inflict a variety of ailments involving hunger, fear, and nausea.
Yeah, and it has a very powerful charge attack that will kill you 90% of the time, guaranteed. Okay, don't worry, these guys are really not much different from the primitive form. They are still super annoying, but they now do more damage and have more health.
More blood for the blood gods! Wait, by the way, who's the flying man?
I don't know. I don't know. It scares me.
Dad?
Cancer, AIDS, what would this be?
Yeah, we have a supersonic plane and we still couldn't outrun these guys. They will chase you down with impeccable speed and destroy everything you own, unless it's made of obsidian. They spit acid like before, except do it way more often and do a shit ton of melee damage.
We'll go with measles, adult measles, I don't know, screw it. But yes, these things are infuriating to fight. Very, very infuriating indeed.
Okay, adapted bolster time. So these guys are even more than your typical adapted form. They are a massive upgrade to the primitive. They are much faster and have some of the biggest melee range in the game. They give a ridiculous amount of buffs to any nearby parasites. Just like Zenyatta from Overwatch 2. Wait, no one plays Overwatch 2. Nobody!
Yeah, all in all, this is definitely a huge glow up. They're still massively ugly, but they will result in death many, many times regardless of how pretty they are. Just look at the cute little Bolster face.
One of the more sad adapted forms here, the arachnid got absolutely nothing. It doesn't even come in for the Haas anymore. It just pulls you in and starts feasting on your bones.
Next! Jimmy, you fucking idiot, stop it.
Remember the Ruptor? Well, this is him now, the Mangler. This thing is bigger, stronger, and has more tentacles than erotic Japanese manga.
These fellas have stuff that the normal Ruptor doesn't have, such as adaptation and quick step. These two things shall also be explained later, just like the viral and bleeding forms.
Might I add that even with assault rifles, you'll get swarmed and killed by the great number of these things once they start spawning from any number of higher parasites. You know, the host, the heavy bomber, God when he just doesn't.
Okay, it has been 7 hours since we began this test. We are sleep deprived and currently watching this Bedrock Golem get pushed around in circles like a DVD loading screen.
There currently seems to be some kind of breach in the main facility, but hopefully security is able to manage. We hope you enjoyed viewing the second series of tests. If we survive the next 24 hours, maybe you'll get to see more.
Deuces. If we survive, the next part will be about status effects, variants, and more creative ways to hate yourself.
Okay, real quick, before the video actually ends, we'd like to cover something from our last video. Specifically, we'd like to give a shout out to our favorite comment.
Yeah, our boy, Mr. Sentry Buster, gave us some marvelous information here. There's apparently a thigh-high texture pack for the parasites, which is absolutely amazing. To quote him, beat the parasites by giving them all thigh-highs. Win the mental battle. Also, yes, that's a real texture pack on Modron.
Absolutely brilliant. Maybe we should use that texture pack in future videos.